On the eve of the release of the 2021 Matric Results, a legal battle to access them on all public platforms. This after Basic Education announced that the Matric Results would only be released to individual recipients. The applicants submitted to court that public interest and free access to information must be considered over privacy.
The Ministry is presently, so to speak, sitting on an enormous amount of data, which I submit should be made available in the public interest so that interest groups can analyze the data and interpret the data. And there's a lot to be interpreted. Firstly, the national pass rate should be interpreted. The provincial pass rates should be interpreted. The pass rates in respect of individual subjects, such as maths and science and all the rest, should be interpreted. And it should not be left to the minister to control that data and keep it out of the public sphere.
The High Court granted the urgent interdict. AfriForum and Maroela Media held the order as benefiting open justice and not just matriculants.
There should be a watchdog in terms of the integrity of the Matric results, but it's especially important because we know 80% of our schools are dysfunctional, and we cannot destroy young people's lives by not having ways of taking on what is wrong. And by having this information publicly available, it cannot be hidden which schools are dysfunctional, so interventions are then possible. So this is much broader than simply just announcing results for people to know.
The more platforms it's available on, the better it is. Different matrics use different platforms for the information. People read different platforms. And I think the more platforms publish information like this, the safer it is.
Basic Education earlier said the changes were in line with the Protection of Personal Information Act, which came into effect in July last year. The department and the information regulator did not oppose the application and welcomed the court order.
Every sector, every individual who deals with personal information, you need to consider how the Act is going to impact on the things that you do. As a department, we attended workshops and we also sought legal opinion and we communicated with stakeholders on what the expectations were going to be. So even when we took that decision, it was us attempting to comply with the Protection of Personal Information Act. We cannot pretend the Act does not exist. It is there. It is new. It is complex. It was discussed. Even the legal practitioners themselves were not agreeing on the interpretation of the different clauses that are there. So we are relieved that the court has clarified for us and we know how it will impact on the things that we do. That's why, as a department, we didn't change anything. We were always ready to make the data available to whoever needed it. But in doing so, we needed to say, what then does it mean in the context of the Protection of Personal Information Act?
A record number of full-time candidates wrote the matric exams, and as they gear up for the final outcome from Thursday, AfriForum and Maroela Media say the results must be known publicly to adequately monitor the national senior certificates' credibility and integrity. Patricia Fasage, SABC News in Pretoria.